Welcome back to the 12th edition of the World Endurance Championship, brought to you live from Terengganu, Malaysia. Now, the race here is really heating up, and joining me in the studio is Mr. David Caden, 2 times U.S. Endurance Champion. How are you doing, David?
Fine, Lisa. Glad to be here.
Are you excited about the race?
Yes, it's an amazing event, and I'm so thankful to be here and be a part of it.
Okay. Now, I understand that you were both at the opening ceremony, and this was the crowd that turned out for this spectacular show.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular. We saw some real Malay cultural shows there. That was really amazing. The performers were fantastic to see some of the Malay rock performers there, and of all the different nationalities as well. But for me, the performance of the night was Lorenzo on his Andalusian
The Flying
horses.
Frenchman. I had to agree. That was the highlight, to see 3 teams working through a maze in concert and him riding them, and then they were going over jumps with him standing up. You had to see it to believe it. It was awesome.
There was one of him even standing on them backwards going over the fence. I mean, it really was awesome.
You know, and the other thing is how the people here in Terengganu turned out to support it. I think there were nearly 50,000 people there.
Wow.
To see the opening ceremonies, and the way the country has embraced this whole event has just been remarkable.
Yeah, there's Lorenzo now, and it's, you know, just the stuff that he does here like this, not even looking where he's going and going over the fences and just trusting his horses so much. That's real horsemanship. Fireworks were pretty spectacular as well. They went on for about 10 minutes. Wow. It was a great, fantastic opening ceremony, and I think really set the tone for what's going to be a fantastic event.
Yes, it has. They've done it right. Every detail of this event has been so meticulously planned. I've really been impressed.
Now, coming back to the race, we have the individual title as well as the team title. So, David, tell us, what is the strategy when it comes to trying to put up something that will work for the teams?
Well, that's a good question. You know, this is really 2 races within a race, and different strategies for the team and individual riders. There will probably be a 50% elimination rate in this event, yet the team riders have 4 team members, of which the combined time of the 3 fastest constitute the team score. So the team has got to finish 3 of their 4 riders to even be in contention for a medal. And that means they're going to have to ride conservative and exercise a lot of good horsemanship to get through these challenging conditions. The individual riders, on the other hand, can really take a chance and swing for the fences. I think you're going to see some guys pushing the limits, and they're going for the individual medals. There are so many good horses here that are so fast that to be in contention, you're really going to have to push the boundaries, and it'll be interesting to see in this heat and humidity what those boundaries are. You certainly won't be able to go as fast as some of the races that they've been, and the times they've been running in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. But where the threshold and under the conditions are that the horses can go and still pulse down will be real interesting to see how it shakes out.
I'm sure a lot of the European riders are welcoming the night race here, as the weather's going to be cooler for the horses. So let's just go through phase 2 to 5 here. Probably Peter and David can help us.
Yeah, it's a 27 kilometer phase 2 here, and we've got the checkpoints again. They go out a pretty long way to the left that you can see on the screen there, and you know, they're gonna have to go this 27 kilometers at a pretty good clip, but at the same time they've got a long way to go after this, and so they're still going to be conserving their horses to make it to the end. And I think it's going to be a tough phase, but there's nothing really technical about this phase, and it'll be very interesting.
That'll be the first phase that they'll do in the dark, Peter, and it'll be interesting how that's going to affect the speed.
That's right, yeah. Phase 3 is the reverse of phase 1, so it's 28.8 kilometers. Again, the same number of water points and checkpoints, still 1 crew point on this one. And this will be done pretty much in the middle of the night. And so, you know, it'll be interesting to see how the horses react to it. Everything's going to be floodlit, but, you know, there's still going to be some shadows and some darkness on the course, and we don't know how they're all going to react to that.
I've heard that it's 1,200 lights that that were installed throughout the course. Probably, David, help us through here in phase 4. Now, you've been through probably took a ride down the phase 4?
Yeah, we did and looked at it. There's just a lot of good going, intermixed with a little windy technical stuff in which the horse is going to have to change leads a lot and use both sides of his body. They've done a good job of laying that out. It's not just a flat road course. They've really mixed up some good, tight, technical type terrain with some more open two-track road.
And phase 5.
Phase 5 is 23 kilometers. There's 6 water points along the way. 1 crew point. By this time, the crewing is going to start to become pretty important to the horses. I think by the time we get to phase 5, we're going to see a lot of horses going out of the race, and this is where it's going to be important that the crewing gets done really well, and they look after the horses as best they can, because they've been going a long time by the time they get through phase 5.
I also think that's the phase that the race will start to shape up to who the winners are going to be. I think they'll begin to make their move in phase 5 and 6.
Well, I'm sure all the riders are really looking forward to this. Are really excited, probably very anxious and nervous now. Now, we're just under 10 minutes away from the start of the race. Don't go away. Back after this. Welcome back. You're joining me live from Terengganu at the 12th edition of the World Endurance Championship. And joining me in the studio, we have Peter Abhishekanatham, a Singaporean international equestrian rider, together with David Caden, 2-time US endurance champion. Now, let's just run through the last 2 phases for the course, yeah?
Phase 6 is a pretty short one. It's 15 kilometers. It's the shortest one on the course so far. Only 4 water points, and because it's a short one, there are no crew points on this one. There are 4 checkpoints that they have to go through. They go through a little plantation on this one and up a small hill. So that will be a little bit interesting for them. It's coming up to daylight during this phase, so it'll be interesting to see the horses come in there.
And this
we'll
is the
pick it
final
up live,
phase.
and then we'll be coming to the last phase, the 7th phase, just 10.1 kilometers, 4 water points. This is where the race is won or lost, the last phase. They're going to be racing for home here, and it's going to get pretty fast and hectic here. What do you think, Dave?
It'll be great to see these live cameras out on course, see that final kick develop.
I just can't wait for the mass start, because apparently that's going to be one of the most exciting parts to watch. There could be some accidents. Is that true?
No doubt. These horses have been in their stalls and just being held back, and they're primed and ready for this race. And when we were vetting in yesterday, a lot of the horses were showing some high spirits, and I think we're going to see some pretty excited horses.
Okay.
The riders are massed at the start. We're just about to take off. There's a quick run through of the teams that are participating in the team event here for you on screen. Everybody is keyed up. The horses are ready to go. They're circling around. We're down to 20 seconds before we go now. The Permaisuri Agong will flag off this ride, and it's going to be 160 kilometers before they get to the finish line. It's a mass start. All the horses will be massed up there, and you can see the horses all jostling. They're jumping around. They're very excited, and we've got the start there. It's a good one. They're going to go straight down 900 meters of straight. You can see that some of them are going up pretty quickly. They're going to run this race at an average speed of about 14 to 15 kilometers an hour for the team event. Probably a little bit quicker for the individual event, but we can see that there's some excited horses here, and the riders are making quite a quick start there. They go 900 meters down the straight, and then they'll make a right-hand turn, and they'll then be out on the course, on the small tracks, and going through the scrub around the Terengganu International Endurance Park. Some of the teams have intentionally held back. They want to keep their horses nice and calm. They don't want the heart rates to go rocketing up, and they're going to take off slowly.
So now there's 2 categories here, the team title as well as the individual title. So run us through, David, what it takes for team as well as individual to really course well here.
Well,
Inevitably, it takes a lot of preparation. So many little details at this point have got to cut together. These horses are so well prepped. But the shoeing, the feeding, the saddle fit, every little thing has got to be right to run at this level. And ultimately, it's going to take a little longer.
The time does not stop, as you pointed out, when the horses enter the vet check, but rather when the heart rate reaches the resting pulse of 64. So your management into the vet gate and bringing your horse down to his resting heart rate is so important in the strategy of maintaining a constant flow of your progress.
That's right, Dave. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what goes on in crewing the horse, because it's a little bit like an F1 pit stop, isn't it?
Well, it is. The crew is so important to the success of the rider. The crew is going to have to help calm the horse and cool the horse. Those are going to be the two big C's today. And at the first vet check, these horses are still going to be a little high with adrenaline, and how they can get that horse to just relax and bring his heart rate down and ease him into the vet box is a key part of maintaining the time for the rider and helping avoid a penalty or a delay in the horse's heart rate reaching that resting pulse of 64. There's a lot of ice that's going to be used today. I was amazed with the truckload after truckload of ice that has been supplied, and each team has literally hundreds of pounds of ice in reserve that they're going to be cooling water with to douse their horses when they reach the cooling box prior to entering the vet gate. No, I'm really surprised to see a pretty strong canter going on this first loop in the hottest part of the day. The first vet check will be very telling as to how this race will continue. I expected the speeds to pick up as the night got later and cooler late in the night.
So for the first loop, most of these riders will be going all out and then slowing down, or what will be the tactic?
Well, the tactic is fundamentally to try to maintain a pace, to not go too fast too early. In fact, there are a lot of top riders who like to ride off the pace and run what we call negative splits. That is to say, each loop slightly faster than the one before. And I think that's a good strategy for this race. Because of the heat in this first loop, I think that as the night goes on and it gets a little cooler, if you can save your horse's energy, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to be picking up the pace throughout the night. And I think that about midpoint in this race, somewhere in the 5th, 6th loop, you'll really see who's going to win this race. They'll be coming on strong at that point. And
2 more hours before it turns dark. So in terms of tactic, how would the teams play it?
Well, I think that they're going to try to get through that first vet check and see how things are going and, take advantage of the daylight. But these guys, that darkness really won't have any effect on their speed. They're trained to ride at night. They'll have some soft lights their horses can see. In this course, it won't affect the pace. The only thing that might affect the pace is if we have some real hard rain, and that could affect visibility and footing a little bit. But I think they'll only pick up speed as the darkness grows and the night cools. They're actually going at a very fast pace here. I think they're going to finish this first loop in probably an hour and a half. I'd say they're running 18, 19 kilometers an hour. That horse right there is probably going 20, 21. So I'm surprised this early right now to see the hammer down, but this is a world championship. Be trying to get that horse's core body temperature down. They'll actually probably be taking some rectal thermometer temperatures too. The horse doesn't want to you don't want to get that horse too hot because he just can't dissipate the heat. This sport is all about protecting the horse, and if if he's stressed, he'll be pulled by the veterinarian. So they're trying to keep that horse cool by getting a lot of cold water on him, and that helps dissipate that heat. That's the big challenge of this course today.